Welcome to Journey as Zero Zeros.
So today with us is Asher, which is born in England in year 1998, and he studied French and Russian in University of Nottingham, which is actually something that really surprised me. I mean, I just knew you through running through our mutual friend Dino, and yeah, before this podcast itself, definitely I will go through some research, know more about our background, and then that's something that I learned like just recently, so that really sparked my interest on that. But before we get into the discussion and all that, is there anything else that you would like to add on about yourself?
No, just hi, I'm Asher. I'm 26 and born and raised in England. Lived in a couple of countries and I'm back here for good, I think.
Okay, interesting. We can go into that later probably. But yes, tell us about why you decided to study French and Russian. That is something that really piqued my interest.
I really would love to sit here and say there was some like deep connection. Like a few members of my family speak a couple of languages.
Okay.
And I was just good at French at school, and then I was like, you can get a year abroad when you do languages at some universities in the UK. So I had the opportunity to go to France, and then the more I was looking into a degree in French, the more they were saying you could do French and another language from like as a beginner's course. So you'd do it for the first 2 years, and then your third year you'd go to the country and had a whole range. And I just thought Russian seemed pretty crazy.
It is.
Russia seems like a weird, well, not a weird country. It just seems like a country where like I don't really know anything about it. And it's a fairly marketable skill. I thought after uni.
Okay.
Not that I use it in my job at all at the moment.
Maybe in future.
Maybe. Well, who knows? Yeah. You don't know who's gonna walk through the door. I just thought, kind of, why not? That was really most of the thinking behind my choice of degree. It was cool.
I see. So like, I believe like for studying this, you said you can go to at least one country.
Yeah, so I went to both. I had a semester in Paris, and then I had about 3 months of the semester in Moscow, but I had to come back early because COVID started kicking off. It was just like right on the edge of when COVID started becoming a thing in the West. It was one of those things you heard it in headlines and you were like, oh, that's scary. I hope this doesn't come over here.
And then
it's just like, yeah.
No one expected that. That was quite a surprise.
Yeah. I had to get one of the like very last planes out of Russia back to England before the lockdown hit, which was the 17th of March.
I still remember that.
I remember it was 2 days before my birthday, and I was so excited to have my birthday in Moscow. We had great plans, and apparently a global pandemic was reason enough to come home. So I did. I forsaked my amazing plans to return to my mum's house, which was in the middle of the countryside.
I see. How was your experience living in the two countries? Maybe starting from France.
We'll start chronologically. France was great. I lived in Paris, and I think that for a lot of people I know, Paris gets this rep of really being like super touristy, kind of grimy and dirty, and like not actually that pleasant to go to. But when you live there and you scratch under the surface, it is super grimy and dirty, and it's a clean city, but it's not a clean city. But that's kind of part of the charm. There's a little bit of edge as much as there is all like romantic sort of notion about it. But it was great. I love Paris. It was awesome. Experienced so many different things. Met so many different people that I never ever would have met had I not been there. It was just a really cool city. It was one of those places where you could walk down a random side street that you'd never been down before and find something absolutely incredible, like whether it was, I don't know, like a vintage bookshop or a cafe or a restaurant that you're like, wow, it's amazing, I need to go here. We found there's just so many cool things. Every day was like a new adventure, which sounds really cheesy, but it was,
Yeah, I recently just went to Paris as well, and then I would say I quite agree with you initially when there, just like, it feels dangerous, it's dirty and all that, and then very touristy and all that, especially I went during the Olympics and all that.
Sure.
But after a few days, it's like, actually, there's a beauty to it.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy it. I really like the lifestyle, how chill they are and all that. Like, I slowly grew to like it's quite some. Probably not a place that I would decide to live there permanently.
Yeah.
But it's somewhere that I think I'll go, twice a year.
I'd go back definitely for like an extended holiday. I think if I was going to live, I'd live somewhere different in France. But yeah, Paris is awesome. Like it's there's just so much to do. And I don't know if it's just because it was a new culture that it wasn't London. I feel like
Okay.
in London I'm a bit like, I know Oxford Street, I know the touristy bits, I can I know some of the cool little side alleyways, whatever, but it just doesn't feel like as much of an adventure as Paris. I think you're just surrounded by so much new stuff.
I see.
But yeah, it was great. Totally different to Russia.
Oh.
Russia was Russia was still an incredible experience. Don't get me wrong. It was just culturally, even the climate was crazy different.
It is. It's a lot colder, is it?
Yeah, when we went, it was actually the kind of tail end of winter, so the start of the new year.
Okay.
And we got there and it was minus 20 degrees overnight.
What?
Yeah. We all geared up in massive coats, jumpers, fleeces underneath that, base layers underneath that. And we were told in our first week, one of the lecturers who was at the uni that we were studying at, she was talking about it's a real shame you guys aren't getting a proper Russian winter. And we were like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, this is unseasonably warm for us.
Seriously?
Yeah. And so we were sat there and I've never been in minus 20 degrees before. A lot of my friends have never been in minus 20 degrees before. And there's this fairly lovely, jolly little old woman being like, God, it's warm outside today, But it was cool, yeah, it was awesome. Loads of snow, snow all the time. And yeah, people were friendly.
Friendly?
Really friendly, yeah.
I see. I never expected that.
No, it's probably the one, I think the biggest misconception that a lot of people have is people from Russia seem really stony faced, really serious, but and they are, probably because the environment is quite harsh, that it's, and they've got a lot to do. But as soon as you kind of scratch beneath that, it's some of the friendliest people I've ever met in terms of a culture. People were really cool, people were really welcoming. They went out of their way to, kind of be kind to you, really. You suppose it's you show an element of interest in their culture and they're more than happy to welcome you in and show you more. Yeah, it was really cool.
Okay. Interesting. Wow. Never expected that.
Yeah.
Interesting. What would you say would be your, if I say you choose one extraordinary experience from both countries that you have stayed during that time?
Yeah, I mean, Paris was definitely so niche. The access to rock climbing. So I'm a big rock climber. Not so much anymore, but I used to rock climb loads and loads and loads. And
outdoor, I believe.
Yeah. There's this really cool place south of Paris called Font, which is a mecca for rock climbers. It's loads of outdoor bouldering, huge pine forest. I just used to go on my own in the middle of it was kind of August, September time, so it was late summer, early autumn, so it was still really warm. I just would go on my own for an entire day and just sit in this forest. It was deadly quiet. Looking back, going rock climbing on your own in a quiet forest is probably not the smartest idea.
Yeah, it is something else.
Yeah. But it was, at the time it was absolutely incredible. It was something I'd never probably ever get to experience in England.
That sounds like a dream, atmosphere. And
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It was you get off you get on the train in Paris, which is a huge bustling city. You get off the train, you'd go out of the Paris metro onto the little outer reaches train onto some little tiny rickety old thing to some little village that's a few miles south. And then you'd step off and walk out into just this forest, and you'd be an hour and a half maybe, and you'd be from one of the busiest places you've ever been to the quietest place you've ever seen in your life. It was so cool, pretty cool.
Interesting.
Once in a lifetime experience in Russia.
How long have you stayed there actually? Because it was cut short by the.
It was only 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
I think it was. I think the real once last time I did takeaway was just kind of, it sounds really weird, the wealth disparity. So you would have, for example, where I stayed was just this little old 1950s 1960s Stalinist tower block. Every flat was exactly the same.
Very boring and all
rickety, grey concrete in this sea of other grey concrete blocks that are all the same. And then you step outside and you go 100 meters that way, and you cross the river and 100 meters that way, and you're in what they call Moscow City, which is like the big high-rise neon lit business district. It's, you know, yeah, and it was like it was just incredible how like 2 minutes from, you know, what in England I guess you'd consider like quite a disadvantaged like living area to the most expensive like flats in Moscow that overlook the entire like, you know, like Oblast, like the big city region. Yeah, it was awesome. Like it was, you know, so interesting culturally, like the diversity in everything, in like ethnicities, in wealth, in everything. Was like when you're in it, you don't really notice it, but stepping back and like looking at it from like an outside perspective, you're like, wow, this is like nothing I've ever seen. You know, yeah, you get it in Austin, you get it in London, you get it in all these cities, but it's like that times a million in Russia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when I'll be able to go to Syria right now. So many things happening.
You might struggle right now. Yeah.
I believe. Yeah, you really have a really special experience.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Looking back right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. But yes, so you studied this very interesting course, French and Russian. How many languages do you actually know?
Barely English, to be honest, at this time. No, I know. So obviously, I speak English. I'd say my French is still okay. I don't really think I could say I speak Russian anymore, just because I haven't practiced it in like 3 years. Like I graduated a few years ago, and I don't use it. And I wasn't very good at it anyway when I was doing my degree. But yeah, so I would say two. But I'd love to learn more. Language is really interesting. It's the best way to get involved with another country or like culture is just learn a bit of that language and just try. Like, yeah.
True. Okay. Interesting. But yeah, like, what do you actually what do you guys study in the course itself?
Yeah, it was loads about history, culture. Kind of. It was like half culture, half linguistics. So you do like really like grindy, hard grammar sessions, and then you go and learn about like films. And it was great. Like I loved the culture side of things the most. The grammar didn't really do it for me because it was just hard and it was a lot. But the films and like the art and the literature sort of modules were really, really cool. And again, it's like a really nice way of getting to know a culture is through kind of the media that they create and consume, I think. Yeah, so that was really interesting. I used to love that. Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah, because I'll never be able to imagine, you know, like studying language. Like, what do you do in a class? Like language, something that you spend a whole 3 years studying. Like, yeah, it is really interesting to know that. But after you study, like, did you choose a career based on what you studied?
I did, and I quit that career recently. I worked really, really, really hard. I did loads of extracurricular stuff for like the student newspapers. I was initially like, I'd love to be a journalist. I didn't really fancy working all hours of the day and night for not a lot of pay. So I got into public relations and communications.
Okay.
Loved it. Really, really, really great. Was working for a not-for-profit, which was awesome. Like, it's... shout out to April. Shout out to April. They taught me loads. I learned loads. The people were really nice. And then I got a better job, which paid... It paid like significantly more. It was working from home. I got.
That's the better part, is it?
Yeah. And then the worst part was just like literally everything else. It was so much work and so much stress. And it was like I joined, and one of the first things that happened when I joined was a round of redundancies, which meant that I took on loads of extra work from like other members of staff, despite being like the most junior member of the team. And I think there was just a bit of a communication gap between my manager and I. That just wasn't really going away, despite trying to kind of like fix it. I'm a big believer in your probation period is as much for you to figure out if you want to be part of a job as it is for the job to decide if they want you.
Exactly.
I hit the end of my probation and I was just like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't like this. The money's great, but that's about it.
What kind of money bring you if like you don't feel like that's the purpose of staying?
Yeah. If I'm spending my days off, like dreading going back to work on Monday. I'm not really enjoying it. I'm not really having any free time. Like, you know, it's still kind of hanging over me. So I sort of I bumped into a friend of mine who runs a jazz bar in the town, and she said that her assistant manager's just quit. And I said, well, this is perfect because I'm just about to quit my job. So can I have that? And it's a jazz bar I worked at part time anyway. So I already knew kind of how it operated. And it's a friend of mine who I'd worked with in a different bar for years, so we've already worked together really well. So it kind of just works really nicely. And so, yeah, that's 4 years after, I suppose this is my quarter life crisis. 4 years after, 3-4 years after graduating university, don't use my degree at all. Don't use that many skills from my degree or my career at all. I work back in hospitality, but it's good fun. I love it. It's hard work, but it's good.
I see. I mean, like most people actually, after they come out with a degree, they just get into another industry or another field. Usually they just leave their degree behind. That's probably just like for the first job and all that. For some people, not even their first job.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it's all. For me, it was more about the skills I learned alongside learning the languages than it was necessarily about learning the languages themselves. That was kind of, I think, the biggest takeaway that I had from my degree.
I see. Just now you talk about your quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
How did that felt? When did that begin? Would you say?
So I turned 26 in March, and I mean, it's been going on for a few years. I think probably the biggest catalyst was I went through a breakup when I was 24.
Hey, I'm 24 as well.
Oh, it's happening to you. It's gonna start. Don't you worry. I think it was. There's this old thing that when you turn 25, your brain is supposedly fully developed and you just see the world differently. And I think it wasn't exactly like an overnight. I turned 25 and boom, the world made sense because it didn't. But like, I turned 24, sort of turning 25. I'd been through a breakup. I was moving house. Loads of big life changes. I was kind of like, as much as I loved my first job out of uni, I was like, I need more money. And so my quarter life crisis definitely kind of kicked in around that sort of time. And I had like a good few, like couple months of like, well, maybe I think it was actually before the breakup, to be fair. I think it was, because the breakup was summer, my birthday was spring, and it was one of those kind of things where you're like debating for a few months about whether you should break up with someone. Not my finest moment. Maybe I should have been a bit more like, oh, now I'm out. Like, but yeah, it was kind of that period between my birthday and the breakup, and then a little bit after the breakup, and then, yeah, it was just that's when it kind of really kicked in, and it's sort of been like tapering off. And then turning 26, I'm like, I think I'm fairly non-quarter life crisis even.
It's over.
I don't know. I bought a bicycle recently, so maybe like getting really into cycling. But I haven't bought any lycra. I don't wear any lycra yet. Okay. So I'm not quite that deep in. But
it's like testing the waters. Seeing
You'll
how
know
far
if you ever see those like crazy helmets that's like swooped back and like bright pink lycra leotard, so I'm really aerodynamic. If you ever see me like about on the roads like that, you'll know it's happening again. You're like, that's just Asher. He's going through another quarter life crisis. But yeah, it's I think it was kind of like the 24 to 25 mark was a bit of a quarter life crisis a year. And yeah, it just kind of like solved itself. One day I woke up and I was like, oh, okay,
I feel
it's actually okay. Like, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, glad that it's like mostly over. I believe.
Yeah. I've got another 25 years and I'll have my midlife crisis. I'll buy a sports car. Yeah. Like, that'll be it. Like,
25 years for it to figure out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, save up for it. Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah, but interesting because you said that you recently went into cycling previously. Are you still running?
No, actually, so it's like I love running, don't get me wrong, but my job is so on my feet that kind of the last thing I want to do when I'm having like rest time is be on my feet. So like,
get what you mean.
Yeah, the prospect of like going out for a really long run before then having to go to work for 8 hours to be stood up and like walking around kind of just fills me with like real dread. So I cycle lots. I mean, I cycle to and from work, which is like it's only 1.5 kilometers, but then I'm like cycling to and from town before like work, cycling to other places. So I'm not like going out for bike rides, but I am cycling a lot. Okay. Although I went back to my bike yesterday and somebody either a car's hit it or somebody's just like kicked the back wheel in, so it's now like so I've got to go and buy like another wheel, which is a nightmare.
I see. Okay.
So I'm actually not cycling right now. Just walking everywhere. But yeah, no, I'm not running so much anymore.
See.
Getting back into rock climbing, getting cycling.
Interesting. Okay. Are you like rock like outdoor rock climbing or like
Indoors
those
mostly.
bouldering or
Bouldering. Yeah,
bouldering.
yeah.
Okay.
I can do it all, but I prefer bouldering because there's less stuff.
I see. Let me know when you're heading.
Oh, dude, yeah, we'll get down there. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have much time here because I haven't told you about it. So I'm moving to London soon. Actually, next month.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. Do you know where you're in London?
Not exactly sure yet. So like my first month, I got Airbnb for myself.
Sure.
Like just to stay there and just to go for house viewings and all that.
Yeah.
Well, I figure out where do I actually want to stay permanently for like the next year and all that. So
Cool, man.
yeah, because it is huge, you know.
It's massive, yeah.
Right now I'm speaking to people as well, just to like even though London, we living here in England, we think that we traveled out to London quite a few times, we know it really well, but we don't really know it that well. We really need to speak to people that have been living there for like a few years and all that.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Oh, very exciting. Cool.
Yes, but let me know when you're going bouldering.
We'll get a climb inside before you move to London. That'll be good. I'll drop you a message. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, but yes, like interesting. Your lifestyle sounds really fun. You know, you are doing rock climbing, now cycling. Like, tell us more about other stuff that what do you do for your lifestyle other than this two? Or like are these two like
Yeah. Well, okay. So I mean, I
to interest and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that to your viewers and listeners, I look and sound like I'm the coolest guy alive. I'm really not. I love Magic the Gathering. It's a little board game that you play with your friends with cards. I spend most of my money and time on that probably. And I've just got my girlfriend into it, which is great because it means that I can, I always have someone to play with. I'm part of like a little club. We meet every Monday. It's really nerdy. It's like Dungeons and Dragons level.
I was gonna ask that. Like, does it involve a lot of imagination and all that?
Like that. Less so because you have like cards that do things, and like kind of bound by like the rules on the cards.
Okay.
But like building your own decks and stuff like is quite creative and that's quite a fun process. It's something I play like on and off for like 10 years. But I've only just since moving to Nottingham, I've only just like gotten back into it. And had like more people to play with consistently, which is really nice.
Okay.
So that's really sad, but that's something I do a lot. And Dungeons and Dragons, to be fair, I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's just like fun to just chill out with your friends for a few hours and pretend to go and I don't know, fight some goblins, and get some treasure in a cave. Yeah. It's just a silly way of spending a few hours. Yeah.
Interesting. Actually, how does it work? I don't like. TLDR. You don't need to go into the source.
Okay. Like,
I never really heard a lot about it, but never really have like the idea of like how does it actually work.
So cliff notes on how it functions is you have dice. The most famous of which is the D20. It's 20-sided dice. And it's like an imagination game. You will sit around a table. One person is the dungeon master. They run it's usually me. They run the game, and they like create situations for the players to like navigate. And that could either be like fighting things, or that could be like opportunities to like role play, so like talking to non-player characters. And then you roll the D20, and that decides how well an event goes based on like your stats, like how for example, how strong you are dictates how likely you would be able to like kick down a door or something. So you roll your dice to define how well you can do the action, sort of thing. And that's kind of just how it works. And then it just it spirals out of control from there. Really, like everyone tries to go and derail the events and whatever, and go off in random directions. But it's fun. It's very imagination based. It's very like narrative, story based. And it's just a really good laugh. Like it's a nice way to spend an evening for a few hours.
I see.
Yeah,
but like just now you said it, you're like for the audience, like they might think that your life is really cool and all that, but I would say that is totally true if we come from like because like I'm from Malaysia,
sure,
totally Asian and all that.
Yeah.
I think it's only like more of the like starting from my generation and all that. People started getting into this and all that.
Yeah,
People from the previous generation usually if they're richer, they're more affluent and all that, they will have the chance to join that. Like my father, he would only be able to dream if he get do all this kind of stuff. So definitely, it still sounded really really cool, really fun and all that.
Yeah.
It's also, I have to say, like coming here to the UK, it really gave me more time to spend, like on actual hobbies and all that.
Yeah.
Like I can actually do runs,
For sure, man.
get board games and all that kind of stuff. It's a fun lifestyle here.
Yeah, I think that definitely also comes with being a bit older. Like as I've kind of gotten more towards my like mid to late 20s, I'm just a bit more unapologetically into things that I'm into, and I'm not. I don't feel like I have to. Like when I was younger, you kind of feel like you have to be a bit cool, Especially like going to uni where you get this like big opportunity to reinvent yourself as a cool guy, and I'm like,
Build a new profile,
Like, historically, I'm not very cool. Like, if I was like, I don't know, 12 or 13 and talking about these like nerdy board games, the other kids would be like, that's lame. Yeah. Whereas now I'm in my like, I'm 26 and like talk to people and I'm like, oh, what are you into? And I'm like, I'm into really, really nerdy board games. And people are like, oh, that's cool. I'm glad you're doing things you enjoy. Like,
Exactly.
I think, as you get older, people just get less judgmental. And it's, you can just do more of what you want to do. Like you have the money, you have the time, I'm not spending all my time on like uni or schoolwork or working part-time after that. So it's really it's nice. It's a nice part of getting older, I think.
I see. Okay, interesting. But yeah, do you mind sharing, how much do you spend on like sustaining your lifestyle and all that? Like maybe percentage of your paycheck and all that kind of stuff.
So I would say that currently, so I've kind of been in like a weird sofa surfing position at the moment. So my
you haven't found a place.
So me and my partner we're moving into a place in Stenton, like near the town centre.
Amazing.
And it's significantly cheaper than the nice flat in the town centre that we had. But the nice flat in the town centre was
Very nice. I missed that place.
Oh, dude,
I love the balcony.
Yeah, the balcony and like it's so quiet, such a good location. But the little house we found has like just been recently renovated. The rent's really, really cheap for what it is, and it's in a really, really nice central location in the scheme of things, and it's unfurnished, so we get to like make it our own, which I'm really excited for.
That's cool.
It's quite nice to be able to kind of like decorate it myself, because she and we have like I think quite similar decorating styles. So I'm not actually spending loads on my paycheck, on my hobbies at the moment. 'Cause it's all going into savings, and it's all kind of like. Because I'm staying at her house at the moment, so we're splitting rent. So it's cheaper, but it's
it's small.
Yeah. It's just like 8 room in a house sort of thing. But I'm not spending loads on my hobbies at the moment, just because I'm saving up money for moving, because it's always so expensive. But I suppose like ballpark, I try and keep it around. What is it? It's like the 30-20-10 rule or something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, where it's was it 50-20-20-10? I don't know. I'm about to say that I do this rule and I can't even remember what it is. But it's like about half of your income on rent and bills, 20% of your income is like fun stuff, 20% of your income is necessities, 10% in savings.
Okay.
Which
that's quite a good plan.
Yeah, like I try and keep it around that. It's hard, obviously the cost of living has kicked off massively. So like in the past like 18 months to 2 years, I've had to kind of readjust that. So hobbies have fallen slightly by the wayside, or like things that I used to get my bike fixed for months, which I just never did. And eventually I did, and he was like, oh, it's 150 quid. And I was like, oh, that's like more than I actually paid for the bike, because I got it second hand. I bought it off Tino, like, yeah,
Really?
Yeah. And like, I like cleaned it and did it up and stuff, and then like, I noticed like more and more things weren't like, after, a while of having it, so I said to bought it to the guy, and he was like, yeah, it's 150 quid. I was like, oh.
That's expensive. Should I bought a new one?
Straight on the credit card. Yeah, I could have bought a new one, but it's nice. It's, it's nice to like be able to kind of breathe new life into like something that somebody would have probably gotten rid of otherwise. And I mean, I don't spend loads of money on hobbies. I spend probably more than I should sometimes on Magic the Gathering, but that's the nature of gambling because you're ripping open packs to find cards. So
Sounds exciting though.
it's fun, yeah.
There's a period of time that where I do buy like Pokemon trading cards and all that. The best part is always
Yeah. And it's like you're like, I've spent £5, I'm gonna get a card that's worth 50 quid, and then you open it and you're like, oh, this is just a total waste of money. Like, the anticipation is always so much better than actually doing it, I find. But yeah, it's I'm not spending loads on my hobbies at the moment. Cost of living is pretty high. Saving up to move is taking up most of it, and I've been grateful that I've been a bit more like tight on the purse strings when we've moved into a really nice place together, and it's all like looking really good. So it's kind of thinking long term, which is part of that turning 25 clarity of being able to think long term as opposed to instant gratification.
Yeah, man, that's the part of getting into adulthood and all that. Yeah, I was just speaking to my friend on the podcast as well, one of the earlier episodes. I think like when you're young and all that, you can just imagine, think like have dreams and all that. Once you started growing up and you have responsibilities and all that, you have to learn to, like, it's not that you can't dream anymore, but you have to prioritize. You have to make sure that you can dream, but you need to make sure that you can feed yourself as well.
I've got rent to pay. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Time spent dreaming is time spent. I could be earning money. Like, no, for sure, I get that. You do kind of, I think, have to put your dreams aside, like way more than Hollywood tells you to when you're a kid. Like, for sure, it's definitely part of like being an adult.
Amazing. Okay. But do you mind sharing with me how's your relationship with your family and your partner? Right now?
Relationship with my partner is great. I mean, she's absolutely fantastic. I couldn't say a bad word about it, to be honest with you.
How long have you guys been together? Do you mind sharing?
Coming up to 18 months now, I think.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, no, it was 18 months. It was 18 months a few days ago. Which I definitely knew off the top of my head and didn't forget about in case she watches this.
We mute that part.
Yeah. If you could just blur my mouth out and like dub it over. Technical difficulties, guys. Technical difficulties. It's 18 months. Like on Sunday just gone. And I mean, it's great. It's like fantastic, like super solid. We're moving in together. Things are gonna be really cool. Relationship with my family's all right as well. Like we live in like a lot of different sort of places. Like my sister lives closer to London. My mum lives in like rural Gloucestershire, which is about 2 hours west of London, and then my dad lives in like South Wales, which is like another 2 hours west of that. So they're all like kind of in like a long line across the bottom of the UK, and I'm like up here. So getting to see them is like rare, but it's always really nice. And I can kind of just go in like a big like L shape like that, and I do it in like a few days. Literally, like I'll pop down to London, stay overnight there, pop down to Gloucestershire, stay overnight there, pop to Wales, stay there, sorted, nice and easy. It's cool. It's we don't see each other loads. Maybe I'd like to see them a bit more. But also, I've kind of made my life here, like in the Midlands now. So moving up further south would be kind of a long-term thing, and it's like I don't know, it'd be totally upending my life, which I'm just kind of not really do right now.
I see. Interesting. Okay, that's really good to hear. Yeah, how often do you visit them? Like this family tour thing.
Twice a year, probably. Like it's really not that often. I definitely should see them more, but it's kind of like Christmas and birthdays type thing.
It's hard as well, right? Like you have your normal life, you have friends, friends and all that, and then
especially like being paid hourly, because I don't really get like the same holiday in the same way you would when you're salaried. So any hours I don't work is money I'm not earning. So it's like a double hit. I'm spending money to enjoy my free time, but then I'm also not earning money to top that back up. So I have to be a bit more like careful with my spending and my like earning. It's also just little things like I don't have a car and train tickets are so expensive.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. I hate
Even
them.
even with my rail card, there's so much money to get anywhere.
And then especially, I think after having the rail card for quite some time, we normalize the price, the price that we're getting as a normal price.
Yeah.
But in fact, it's actually the discounted price.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah. And it's like
it's worse when it's original.
yeah, I mean, I've got to renew my rail card, but I had to take a train the other day. It's been like 15 quid to get to Birmingham. It's like a 45-minute drive from here. Like you know, that should not cost £15. But you know, what are you gonna do? Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's good money. It's renew my rail card. But yeah, yeah, I'd like to see them, and I probably should see them more. But I'll make time. I'll go down and see them in the summer.
Yeah. Lovely, lovely. Okay, lovely to hear that. Yeah, I wish my family's back in Malaysia. Definitely would love to see them.
Can't take a train there.
And it's like you know, but it's funny how I think that it's definitely a flight away. I have to get down to London, hop on a flight, at least 13 hours going back, and then another 1 hour car back home. It is quite a long time, almost take a full day. But now that we think of it, like it's actually quite a lot faster than you know like back in the days and all that.
Oh yeah,
a lot better and all that.
Yeah,
we can still go back within a day itself. Yeah, it's better. But
the fact that you can get there at all is like a miracle of engineering. It's just crazy.
Yeah. It's still quite surprising. Like, I still really admire how a plane works and all that. Whenever you know the plane is taking off and all that.
So I don't really know. Like you know, I feel like I should know. I feel like everyone knows how planes work, but maybe I'm weird. I don't know. But like, I'm in planes. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, you know, suddenly this huge thing that's made out of metal and really heavy. It's like, and you close your eyes, exactly. You're in a different country. It's kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, it's insane that we can do stuff like that now. When you think 100 years ago, like even getting to a different town would have been like a challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think just now I was just like I just saw a meme saying that 200 years ago, like there's this like world map and all that. Writing how long would you get to some place, and
really?
from England it would take like a month and a half to get to Beijing.
Wow.
Like, yeah. And then now we can like do it within a day.
Yeah. It's insane. Like it's really cool. And probably the flight to Moscow is like 5 hours. I remember thinking that seems shockingly short for how far away it is. And just, it'd be like 5 hours later, and it's like in such a different country.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. I love that. I haven't been in like anywhere in Southeast Asia, but I'd really love to go.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
But
yeah, nice.
I just hate the weather.
Really?
Everything else. I mean, like, coming to the UK, I've like pretty much adapted to the amazing weather here. The summer here it's hot, but it's comparing to Southeast Asia, it's absolutely
really. Oh, see, for me this is way too hot.
Yeah, it would be. Then it would be fun for you. Then very humid, very sweaty, and all that.
See, actually, I don't really mind the heat if it's dry, but the humidity is what really gets me. I hate it. I can't do it.
I wouldn't mind like all the humidity if I'm on the beach itself. If I'm like,
if you can just go and jump in the water for a bit and cool down.
Exactly. When I'm in like the what do we call it? Like holiday mindset. Yeah, I'm in a holiday mindset. I can chill and all that. It's totally fine. But not in the city when I need to walk around and things to do and all that. I'm on a rush and all that. Like no, definitely not.
Oh, dude, I get so sweaty at work at the moment. It's just kind of gross, but it's really like it's horrible. It's too hot. It's so muggy. We had aircon, which is great, but at the same time, I'm running up and down stairs. I'm crossing like the floor all the time. Oh, I don't know how. Like I don't know like how I'm not more gross and sweaty than I am by the end of the shift, but it's like it's pretty grim. Working summers in hospitality is not fun.
Yeah, it's even worse in Paris though. Like they just have this, they hate AC and all that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's all like because it's so built up with cars, you're getting all the heat generated there. And like you know, like I was saying a minute ago, like all the buildings are really tall, so it traps all the heat in. And like no, summer in Paris is like weirdly hot. Like it's uncomfortable. Yeah,
true. Yeah. Okay. Let's get into the next interesting question here. So
let's go.
Yeah. So you know, before inviting every guest, you know, we have like a form to fill up and all that, and then you agreed to talk about sexual health and all that.
Yep.
Which is definitely because like it's like talking about anything sexual. It's like a taboo in Asian society and all that.
Yeah.
That's why like previous, and you are my second local guest.
Cool.
And then I'm very happy that, oh my god, you guys are agreeing to to talk about this, which is definitely something that I love. I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
the
yeah.
audience would love to hear as well. Like all the Asians is just like even Dino as well. Even Dino and stuff like that. They love to hear, but would never talk anything about about it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Well, hopefully I can be interesting.
yeah. So, do you mind sharing about like your first sex experience and all that?
Okay, so this is going to be massively underwhelming. I don't
Okay.
really remember.
Oh, okay.
It was. I feel like it's always hyped up to be this like
Mm.
crazy thing. That's,
Okay.
you know, it's gonna happen. I don't remember. I don't really remember what happened. I remember it being a bit awkward.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
with a girlfriend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't. I think it was during the summer. I remember it being vaguely warm.
I
That's
see.
like that's it. It's like that's like really disappointing for an answer, but like yeah, I don't remember. It was years ago. I was 18, I think. Like, yeah.
Oh, that's really young. Is it like? Would you say like what would be like the normal age here where they have their first sex?
I think in the UK everyone wants you to think that they're like
Doing
doing it a lot younger than they are, but like loads of people I know were like 18, 19. Maybe that's because a lot of my friends are like also massive nerds, so
Okay.
maybe there's something there. But yeah, like I actually don't know that many people who like, I know a few, don't get me wrong, but I don't know that many people in the scheme of things who were younger when it happened. But yeah, no, I don't remember, which is really weird. Because I when you sent me the notes before this, I remember looking at it and I was like racking my brain. I was like
Whoa,
what did happen?
I see.
Yeah, I think it was just a fairly normal event in a bed in her bedroom. Like I don't think it was particularly like exciting.
Yeah.
Or, like, you know, it was probably over quite quickly. And it was probably a little bit embarrassing for both of us. Like yeah. Yeah. That's it, I'm afraid. Yeah. I'm like racking my brain now. I really cannot remember any more details than that.
Yeah. But yeah, like even like when I think about mine is definitely the first. Like mine is a lot later. I think it's. Well, we never talk about this much in Asia and all that. So I don't think I've ever talked to my friends. I mean, like my really close friends.
Sure.
Haven't even had.
Yeah.
For a first time. Yeah. So for me, it was like 21.
Yeah.
And then definitely, it was the first time. It was awkward and all that. And then I remember, putting on condoms and all that, finding the right hole and all that.
Yeah. That's always a classic. Yeah.
Finding the right hole, and then I don't think we actually did anything the first time because like it was just we didn't know how, and then like the next day I had to search Google.
Yeah.
To know more about it. I think
Yeah,
it was the second night that I did we actually did something. And
Sure.
but, oh, so this is how it is.
This is how it is. Yeah.
Especially it was new for both me and the girl as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was definitely underwhelming. I remember that. I was
It's
like,
not as
oh,
good
okay.
as it-
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay,
See.
cool. Like everything I've seen in films is not that true, right? Okay,
Yeah.
Thanks, Hollywood. Like, yeah, you know, ruined my perception. It's like, yeah. It was, yeah. But at the same time, it was also like, I feel like there's this real conception of it's like really tender, intimate, like romantic.
Yeah.
It also wasn't that. It was just a bit awkward and like not very good. And you know, it's part of that. The thing that makes it good is just becoming familiar with your partner's body and knowing what makes it all work. And like you're never gonna be able to do that. Like you know, first time, not only like a stupid teenager. And yeah, it was. Was it after a house party? I don't even remember.
I see.
I don't even remember. Maybe it was in that case. But yeah, no, for sure. It was. It's. You know, I think even in British culture, we don't really talk about it that
really?
much.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's. You know, other than when it's like years down the line, you're kind of laughing about how rubbish it was. But like at the time, I think everyone, when you're younger, wants to have this like conception that you're cool and
I see.
you're doing it and like you're
Not sharing the
stuff.
details.
Yeah. No, it needs to know that it was awkward and like didn't really work very well and like you know yeah, no, it's definitely I think it's fairly similar in British culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, like, does your parents, like gave you sexual education?
You know
and
what?
stuff?
I never had the talk from.
Oh, really?
Well, I had the talk from my dad was just like wear a condom so you don't get her pregnant.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'll get a clip round the ear. I'm like, great, cool, thanks, Dad. Brilliant advice there.
Mhm.
And my mum, I think, maybe found it a bit awkward. I don't know, because I remember being like, well, if you have any questions, you can go and ask your godfather. I was like, okay, cool. So I kind of figured it all out.
Yourself.
Yeah, I mean, sex education in the UK is not bad in the scheme of things.
So like in schools,
yeah,
did they teach that?
yeah. You know, I think we had like a couple of lessons in like primary school which focus on like, you know, puberty. This is what puberty is. You can expect to experience these things.
Mhm.
And then like in secondary school, we had like these classes called like, I think it was like philosophy, health. So it was PSHCE. Yeah,
Did they purposely make it an
yeah.
just to not expose the full name?
I think so. Yeah. The SH probably stood for sexual health or something.
Okay.
But they were just basically like, you know, how to fit in with society in a variety of ways. It was, you know, covered like bullying, drugs, sexual health, all that sort of stuff, and like they were pretty good in the scheme of things. It taught you about contraception. It taught you about like what was out there. It taught you about like consent. Although not so much as I think they do now. Like consent is a bigger focus now, but like they touched on it, and it kind of taught you vaguely everything you need to know, except for like
The actual.
like, I see.
Okay.
Even in like biology, like you know, we had like the actual biological side of it as part of one of the more like, you know, classes in one of the semesters when I was like in secondary school. So, you know, in the scheme of sexual health education, I think the UK is pretty good.
I do think so.
Yeah. I've got no idea if it's any better these days. Obviously, like I don't know anyone that goes to secondary school.
It'd be scary if
Yeah.
Whoa,
I don't
why do you know so many people?
I don't really hang around with many secondary schoolers, to be fair. In you know, it's not my like don't know any of my friend group. Yeah, God, I'd be a right weirdo but I'd imagine it's probably better these days. Even like little things in like Nottingham and on the side of the trams they have like the A to Z,
I saw that,
which I think is really cool.
I was really surprised when I came here and like how big of a focus they have. The access to like condoms and all that, and like
get free for your doctor, like
It's amazing. Like in Asia, particularly Malaysia, where I come from, we never had actually in school, like primary school, secondary school, we never had any like sexual education actually.
Yeah. Why do you think that is like, what do you think is like a cultural background that makes it harder to talk about, or like
I think it is the cultural background, like because we have multiple races.
Sure.
So like Chinese, and then like 3 of our major races are Indian, Chinese, and like the Malay, which is supposed to be the indigenous tribe. So I would say that we Chinese are the most open one, but still we take sexual things as a taboo that we never actually talk about. So we never touch on this in school and all that. Now that I think of it, my dad actually never taught me about condom and all that. Yeah, which is actually quite bad. Really quite bad. Which is something I did told my dad before I came here that, you know, it's something important to teach my sister and all that, just to make sure that, you know, it's fine that they never tell us if they're having sex and all that, but make sure that, you know, you're doing it safely. That's the most important thing.
I think that's, for me, if I was looking at this from a parent's perspective, is like whether or not it's like the same thing with drugs. Do you know what I mean? Like if I had a child who was at the age where they might start going out drinking or experimenting with sex or drugs, like my whole perspective would kind of be, I don't need to know that you're doing this. I just need to know that you're doing it safely. And this is how you do it safely. You know, like if you want to experiment with drugs, you don't need to tell me that you're doing it, but like do it in a controlled environment where you're safe with people that you trust. Like, you know, where you have access to an adult or an authority figure, like, you know, in case things go wrong. Like, I would always have like an open door policy at my house if that was the case. I'd say, like, because I'd much rather my kid, if they need someone, like, you know, like it's super, you know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, if I find you taking drugs, I'm kicking you out. I'm like, no, if I find you taking drugs, like, I just want to know that you're getting all right stuff, not from like some dodgy guy that's selling you anything. And I just, you know, I'd like you to know that you have a safe adult who's not going to judge you and who's going to help you if things go wrong.
Yes,
Like,
yes, that's right. That's right. That's amazing.
obviously, as a father, I'd be like, absolutely not. You're not allowed to do drugs. Drugs are bad and illegal.
But I want to make sure that you're
Yeah.
safe.
But if you're doing it, I can't stop you. So it's not really to do them. Like, yeah. And I think it's the same thing with like sex and stuff. Like, if it's gonna happen, it'll probably happen. You know, don't do it in the backseat of a car in some random car park. Like, do it upstairs.
Yeah, it's more
Be
comfortable.
safe. Like, yeah. And if I know that you've got your, partner over, I'll put in some earplugs or something. Like,
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I guess that's one thing. Oh, well, I definitely I think I can't generalize this to everyone in the UK, but like after I came here, I do like this culture a lot more, like the mutual respect and all that. Which is really amazing. Something I really love about UK and all that. Yeah.
cool.
But yeah, thanks a lot for sharing about it. Like it is.
Sorry, there wasn't much to share, to be honest.
No, but it is quite interesting to know, like, not just about your first sex experience, but knowing like how they teach all these things here.
Yeah, for sure.
Like since primary school and all that. It's amazing. Yeah, but okay, now we talked a lot about your interesting life and all that.
Yeah.
Just wondering, like, recently, what's your biggest struggle?
I mean, we've touched on it already a little bit. It's got to be money. Money's like, I think, and that's universal. Everyone is struggling with money at the moment. Like, money's hard. Look, I mean, I don't want budgeting where you're like, oh, now I have to pay rent, now I have to pay bills, now council tax has gone up by 5%. Oh, what's this? My phone bill's gone up by 5%.
Every year.
Has my paycheck gone up by 5%? Absolutely not. If anything, my paycheck has gone down since starting this new job. Money's like 100% the biggest struggle. And I think a lot of people in the UK, if you'd ask them, they would say the same thing. It's just little things like you want to start saving for a holiday, but you can't. And then like I said, I had some guy kicked in the back wheel of my bike. That's 50 quid to go and replace the back wheel, and that's 50 quid that I could be spending on a hobby or taking my girlfriend out on a date, or and I'm like, oh shit, I need to do this so I can get. Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can.
I just slipped out. I was like, oh no. But yeah, I was like, that's 50 quid that I could be using to, I don't know, saying we're moving in. 50 quid is some nice plates or something. Do you know what I mean? But I need my bike to get around. So it's a bit of a weird one. Money is 100% the biggest struggle. And I thought that I would have fixed that by moving to a job which paid me quite a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't. Yeah, sure, I had more money, but also the money I was earning was not worth the job that I was working.
Not worth like the stress and all that.
I was so stressed. I would be like having nightmares about work. I was like going to bed really, really late because if I went to sleep and woke up, I have to go to work. So the later I left it, the more that'd be like it was really weird. It was this like weird sort of procrastination because I was like, why you procrastinate going to bed? This is more time that I have like control over this time where I'm not working, and then I can go and I'd eventually just like fall asleep, and that was so dumb because obviously the worse you sleep, the worse your mental health gets. Like you're like struggling during the day and things. I was just like I can't do this, so I quit and I took a pay cut, and now money's tight, but it's okay. But
at least you have a better life. Mentally and all that.
100%. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, everything's it's much better where I am at the moment. Yes. Definitely money's the biggest struggle. But okay, like I said, I think it's quite universal. Like a lot of people are feeling it at the moment. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, quite scary. Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Like recently, I just quit my job. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
For sure. Yeah.
It is like this is my first month. It is still beautiful and all that. But after that, first month is like, oh my god, it's taking you feel like getting a new life, you're taking a breather, like amazing. I have so much time now. But after that, when all the worries comes in, I was like, oh fuck. Doing the job.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not ready to know that.
I know exactly. Like I know a couple of people who've quit their job and just because they're like, I just don't want to do what I'm doing anymore. I need time to figure out what I want to do. And they've always said that quitting their job has been the most valuable thing they've ever done because it gives them that just breathing space, like you said. But yeah, obviously. Alongside that comes in oh no, I need to pay rent. Yeah. I mean, I think that the the UK like welfare system's quite well set up to kind of support people, because obviously people are out of work for all sorts of reasons, and I don't think it's any of our places to judge why people are out of work. Whether it's for health or whether it's for like just needing a couple of months out of work, or whether it's because you're struggling to find work or whatever. I think it's like no one should judge why people are out of work, in my opinion. People, because you don't know if it'll happen to you. Do you know what I mean? You could be like the person with the most stable career, and suddenly next week you're redundant, and the job market's really hard right now, and you could be really struggling, and you might need support. I think the welfare system's really, really well set up in England to kind of support people through that sort of system, and make sure that they can, hey, at least pay their bills and have some money for food, because what else are people going to do?
Starve and all that. It's
terrible, exactly.
Yeah.
Savings run out eventually. Can't keep borrowing money off like the bank, whatever. So I like that the country has these support networks in place, because you don't know when you're going to need the support, and you don't know why you're going to need the support. But having it there is really nice. It's like, when I was kind of going through this thing of like, oh, do I just quit for a few months? Do I just take some time out for a few months and find something better? I was like, I had a bit of savings, a little bit of saving, but not loads. And I was like, I can at least be safe in the knowledge that if it all goes really, really, really badly, and I'm just like, throw the towel in, I quit for a few months, I at least have something to help me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
I do really love like the social benefit, like being across Europe, like many countries, they do provide this as
definitely
amazing.
Yeah. And I think I think it's your role as a country to provide a support network for your citizens. Because without your citizens, your country makes no money. Do you know what I mean? Your country falls apart without everyone kind of putting money into it. And this is I think it's sure, our taxes are quite high in the UK, but okay, maybe I'd like a bit more of my paycheck. So I'm still quite happy to pay my taxes because it supports people who need it.
Yes.
I don't know when I'm going to need support.
Exactly.
And I think that if everyone took a bit more of an understanding approach to that sort of thing, we'd probably have a little bit less division in the UK. Which we're seeing at the moment.
Yes.
Right. And stuff. Yeah.
It's quite scary.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing that.
That's all right. Yeah.
I understand your struggle.
Mm.
Yeah. But let's go to the opposite end.
Okay.
What's the one thing that you love about yourself?
I think probably one thing that I love about myself the most is the fact that honestly I'll try anything once.
Oh, amazing.
I really, really like to try and keep an open mind about everything. Hobbies, people, activities, food, and I think that translates to the fact that I'll almost always try anything once. You know what I mean? I'll chat to anyone. I'll go and kind of do anything just to try it. And a lot of people will say to me oh, you've done so many things. I'm like, well, yeah, I've done so many things because I really try and seize opportunities when they come up, or develop opportunities for myself, not in some weird Andrew Tate you got to take opportunities, bro. It's just but I'm I'm always looking out for them, and I'm quite keen to take them when I can. And I think kind of the more open-minded you are, the more you kind of keep yourself open to these opportunities, the more people you meet, the more come your way. I think, this, part of that's probably why I wound up taking my degree, why I wound up going to all these other countries, and then it kind of just all feeds into itself, and but yeah, that's probably the one thing I like about myself the most is my willingness to try anything.
Love that. And I really like my. I would say back then I was quite a conservative person, and I wouldn't just go out and try new things and all that until my dad did tell me this thing. Yeah, it's okay you to dislike things and all that, but at least you should give it a try.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
You can give it a try, and then at least you can basically tell others I've tried it, but no, it's not something that I truly enjoy and all that. That's
for sure.
But you should actually put yourself in there, experience it and all that, get a full experience. That's before you can actually properly not do that thing again, because you actually tried it.
Yeah, and it's that ability to sort of say, you know what, no, I've tried this and it's not for me, that I think is quite a mark of self-respect in a weird way, because you're not just being no, I don't want to do it. You're you know what, it's not just self-respect, but I suppose it's also respecting other people in the sense that, like, you brought me this opportunity. I respect you enough to try it. You know, you respect me enough to be like, oh, okay, you know what, you've tried it and this isn't for you. That's okay. Like, it's all, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of like healthy personal boundaries, I guess, being able to be like, no, I don't want to do this because I know I don't like it, but I have tried it and thank you for inviting me or whatever. I don't know. Like, yeah. Yeah, probably was quite keen to get on this podcast as well. So I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, absolutely, fun opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. I truly thank you for coming here. Like, it's amazing, man.
Yeah. No, it's been good.
Yeah. Okay. Have you thought of what's your ideal week?
Oh, my ideal week. I love my job. My ideal week is not working. It's a week off, super slow, really easy. I wake up not so early that I'm like one of those like 6 a.m. riser psychos, but like early enough that like it's kind of before everyone's up. Sort of like walk into town, super chill, like either, you know, if my girlfriend's working on my own or if she's with me, like, you know, she's with me. Like we'll hang out, just get a coffee, see my friends, like, and honestly it's just doing that 7 times in a row. But maybe also doing that in a foreign country where it's a bit warm. That would be like even more ideal. But if it's just like an ideal week that's really attainable, it's just a slow, chill week where I'm hanging out with my friends and the people that are important to me, and like doing the things that I really like doing, which is just kind of taking it easy. That's kind of it in a nutshell, you know? Like my ideal week, no money, no budget, no whatever. I'd be like, I don't know, off in some mountain somewhere. Like, yeah.
That is a good way as well, though. That's an amazing way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I've done enough of the fast life. I like living things like nice and slow now.
Yeah. Like, same. Like, I mean, like, I believe UK contributed a lot to this new mindset of mine as well. Coming here really made me realize that balance is very
important. Man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I wouldn't blame like in Malaysia, like they didn't have balance, but it's, I mean, because of the history and all that. Like my grandpa came all the way from China, to sustain his family, and then my dad and my 2 aunts through university, which I really admire him. I really respected him for doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine myself doing that. Like, I come directly from a foreign country and then living on like slums and all that.
Yeah.
And I think it took him like 30 years before he managed to visit China again to meet his family and all that. So it's really crazy. But I mean, there's that history that made us, like, you know, like we should really work hard, that kind of mindset. But I think we are human after all. It's important to care more about ourselves, like balance, know what we enjoy and all that, instead of like just chasing, like, I don't know. Primarily, I guess most people is for money and all that.
Yeah. Definitely. It's one of those things where it's like everyone was just like, oh yeah, work hard, play hard. I'm like, no, work hard, chill out. Like, yeah. I think one of my favourite things that that's ever just been said to me is my old line manager at like my previous job just out of uni. She used to talk about like seeking joy, and she was just like she was all about it. Everything she did was just going out and seeking joy in the little things, whether that was just like going and having a barbecue in the garden, or just like going like on a little mini weekend break type thing. And I've always loved that. I thought that was great, like putting those words to it. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely not something that I try and do. It's just all about like seeking joy, not necessarily about like earning loads more money to go on the big flashy holidays, which would be great. I'd love to go on a big flashy holiday, but just like walking to town and getting a coffee and people watching for a couple of hours.
Yes,
seeking joy, man. Like that's what it's all about, in my opinion.
I totally agree with you. Like, definitely, who doesn't want like big flashy holidays? But I think when you put yourself into it and then you multiple that like by like, if imagine you do it like every week for like the next 6 months, you get bored as well. Like, it's not every day you would like to have a big flashy holiday.
Yeah.
Small things that's fun as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. Definitely. Yeah.
Amazing. That's a lovely idea week. I really love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it for all the amazing questions I have.
Nice.
For you. It's
thank you, man.
Do you have any questions for me? Actually, wondering.
Yeah, I was so with the podcast. Have you got many more episodes before you go to London? Because I imagine setting up in London, that's going to be a whole new thing.
Yeah, so there's still a few, but because I'm doing both online and like physical.
Yeah.
So I think when I move to London, it will most likely be online and all that. Unfortunately, definitely loses a bit of the human element to it, the human connection and all that. But yeah, I do try to make as many as I can while I'm still here because I really love this offline. Offline. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. I did dream of renting, like 1 bedroom apartment, having a proper sofa, having the mics and all that.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
But that's way out of my budget. I am.
Yeah, for in London, yeah. Oh, yeah. You'd be looking at a lot of money, dude. Yeah.
I'll put it as a dream. It's a dream. Like
yes. Yeah. Maybe it can be part of your ideal week.
Yes. In fact, it will be. It
Really?
will be like definitely. I think. Because the funny thing about podcasts is that I can, even if I have multiple chats, like interviews a week, like it wouldn't be ideal to put up multiple episodes a week as well. But I think it'll be really amazing to have one interview a week just to get to know someone. No really talk about in-depth topic. But other than that, it would be amazing, just to hang out with friends, people, chat with them. I think people connection is important, really important.
Yeah.
That's what I realized once I started working and all that. Previously, I thought, I could just stay in my room all week, just like hustle away, all that kind of stuff. But no, I think it's important to have connections.
Totally, man, 100%. I think something like this is really good as well because it's almost like a time capsule, a very specific point in both your life and, for example, mine, that you can look back on in 5 years. In 5 years, you might be doing Journey as 30s, and like getting people back on to see like how has it all changed now we're all 30, like.
You're like, have you watched the podcast?
Yeah. Part of your prep is watch the video from the last time. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, no, for sure. I think developing like connections like this is awesome. Like, it's you learn things about people that you never think you'd know before. Like, yeah.
But funny when you talk about the time capsule thing. So there is. I had a podcast previously. I told you about that, and then so we made, because it was with my ex, and we did this one episode talking about what happens if we break up.
No way.
But I don't I'm not sure if she remembers it, but I didn't listen back to it again and all that. But I think that time it was not just about our relationship; it was about the podcast as well, because it's a mutual podcast.
Sure.
How it will.
Yeah.
It is a time capsule, but then I'll see when. Eventually, I definitely want to listen back and share what was my thoughts back then.
You'll either be like, wow, I was really forward thinking, or you will just cringe so badly. You'll be thinking that. Yeah.
Exactly.
That would be fantastic. That would be really interesting to listen back to. I'll definitely keep this for when I'm in 5 years' time and see where I'm at. I bet you in 5 years' time I'll still probably be like, man, I'm still struggling with money. Maybe it'll be slightly better paid, but who knows?
I believe it's slightly better. Hopefully it'll be something else.
Yeah.
You'll be thinking about, I have what bike should I get now?
That'll be the idea. Somebody broke my wheel again. Please buy another wheel. Yeah. What horrible bit of bright pink lycra shall I buy? So yeah.
Let's hope it's that. That's what that.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome.
But yeah, because the reason why I did this podcast is I just thought it would be cool. Originally the previous podcast I wanted to do until at that time I was in love and all that, thinking that just go long term.
Yeah.
I would really love to do it until we're old and all that. Imagine your grandpa and grandma, they host a podcast and all that.
That's
how
cute.
cool would that be?
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, perhaps by the time when I'm 70s, 80s, when I'm still doing the podcast, and then podcast is no longer the cool thing anymore. My grandchild just be like.
Some weird future technology, and you're still there with a microphone that's been long obsolete.
People that are doing TikTok, YouTube, and podcasts are just totally uncool.
Neuralink's really kicked off. Elon Musk made a mint out of that. We're all beaming stuff from our brains.
Exactly. It's different now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
See how it progresses. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, interesting future. But yes. thank you.
No worries.
Thanks for coming on to this episode. It's really amazing speaking to you, especially I think speaking to locals, going deep into their life, because just how different it is. Like for me coming from Malaysia, how different the lifestyle is and all that. Yeah. But yes, anything that you would like to shout out, like to the audience?
Well, if you're in Nottingham, I'll look in this one. Then I'll look in this one.
I know,
I'll look at both. If you're in Nottingham, come to Peggy's Skylight Jazz Bar. I'm there all the time. Listen to some great music, have some great cocktails. Plus, you just get to see me. So, what could be better?
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So, come on down. It'd be great to see you guys. But yeah, no, thank you for having me. It's been really good fun.
All right. Okay, that's great. So, yes, thanks everyone for listening or watching this episode. So, if you do enjoyed it, do give it a like or give it a review. It would be, I really appreciate it if you can put a 5-star review and do drop a comment if you do review and put your social media handle there. I'll go and thank you personally and I'd love to have a conversation with you. So, yes, that'll be it then. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Remember to subscribe to get notified as new episodes comes out weekly, and please share the link of this podcast to anyone you think would enjoy it. This is Andrew Kwan from the Journey at 00s podcast.